Washington Post has one of the most ridiculous op-eds you'll ever see. They've got a great idea who should be on Biden's ticket. Wait a minute, they want Kamala Harris to get kicked off the ticket already? Drums. But the person they want on the ticket is Hillary Clinton. Full details, Jordan.
We are just several months away from the presidential election. Biden's poll numbers are lagging. Some people think the Democrats need a Hail Mary, but what would that look like? One op-ed in the Washington Post argues that they should replace Kamala Harris with Hillary Clinton. The piece, which is written by columnist Kathleen Parker, begins by accurately pointing out one of the many problems with Biden's candidacy. Parker writes, Biden's steady decline the past few years, his stumbles, his search for words, his occasional blank stare has been impossible to ignore. Such change isn't a reflection of character, it's part of the natural order of life. And it isn't ageist to take note. Parker also correctly points out the unpopularity of Kamala Harris. More independents and disenchanted Republicans might swing for Biden if it weren't for the prospect of a President Harris, not because of her sex, race, or any other demographic category, but because of her competency or lack thereof. But that sadly is where the good points come to an end. Parker pivots to talk about Hillary's involvement in the New York congressional race between Representative Jamal Bowman and George Latimer. Bowman is a Democratic incumbent, but Clinton endorsed Latimer instead. That's because Latimer is a more moderate Democrat. Clinton wrote on X, with Trump on the ballot, we need strong, principled Democrats in Congress more than ever. In Congress, Latimer for New York will protect abortion rights, stand up to the NRA, and fight for President Biden's agenda, just like he's always done. Make a plan to vote by June 25th. Parker, in this op-ed, asks the reader, why would Clinton suddenly get involved in a congressional race?
Because she hates progressives?
No, you're wrong.
Oh no, really?
Here is Parker's reasoning. We are left to speculate about motive.
Oh, well, we do?
It's just not clear.
Oh my God, LEG. And Jamal Bowman has criticized Israel, but I can't figure it out. Hillary Clinton, who has defended Israel 2,000% and taken millions and millions and millions of dollars from AIPAC. Golly gee, I can't figure out the motive. Okay, let's figure it out together.
But she goes on, but the effect of Clinton inserting herself into the news cycle is to remind voters that, but for her defeat in 2016, I don't know if anyone remembers who she ran against, I certainly don't, we wouldn't be stuck in this old white men dilemma. She is also reminding people of her relative centrism, her support for Israel, and her broadly respected role as Secretary of State. Broadly respected is a funny way of describing one of the most universally loathed politicians in our country, and that's a high bar. But nevertheless, Parker continues. No one has mentioned her as a possible running mate for Biden as far as I know, but why not replace Harris with Clinton? At 76, she might not want part of it, but it's hard to retire when you feel your job isn't done. If Biden needs to step down, even those who didn't vote for Clinton would have confidence in her ability to keep the country on track. It's just a thought, but worse ideas have been met with regrettable success. But again, Hillary did try to run against Donald Trump, and it was not successful because of those same independents and Republicans who didn't vote for her. They went to Trump. Cenk, what am I missing about this?
Thanks for watching. Our audience has helped build TYT into the media giant it is today. Together, we can accomplish anything. Support our work and join us at tyt.com/team.
This is a super interesting story, not because of the suggestion, which is hilariously wrong, but because it shows you something about social psychology and human psychology. I'm gonna get to that in a second. First, let's hit this one out of the park. As Jordan just pointed out, wait, she's literally the only person who's ever lost to Trump. So your genius idea is, well, this ticket's in a lot of trouble. Let's bring on someone who knows how to lose to Trump. Okay, so that's gonna get back to human psychology in a second. Secondly, one of the points she's making there is like Hillary has the courage to stand up for Israel. Is that really rare in DC? You can't find another Democrat who's gonna stand up for Israel? That's like 94% of the party. That's the thing that distinguishes her? Come on, this is just, every part of this is a joke, right? She had the courage to support a non-incumbent Democrat, a primary challenger. Wait a minute, My whole life, the Washington Post told me that primary challengers are the evil incarnate, the worst thing on earth, destroying the Democratic Party, unity, right? And now Hillary goes against an incumbent and it hits the third rail of party disunity, and they're like, "Atta girl, way to do it." We told you, it was always a lie. It was never about unity. It was always support the establishment no matter what. And if we get a couple of progressives sneak in, we're not gonna support you guys. We're gonna help AIPAC destroy your career. We're gonna have Hillary Clinton come in. We're gonna have everyone come in and try to crush you. And then we'll have the media lie about it 24/7. Later, they'll say, the minute you challenge them, hey, are you sure you should do that bill that gives all the money to the donors? They'll say, unity, you goddamn progressives are destroying the Democratic Party. And now there's like a standing ovation for Hillary Clinton. They're trying to put her on a national ticket because she hates unity in the Democratic Party. I mean, they're a joke. Every part of the establishment media is a joke. Their job is not news, their job is propaganda and marketing on behalf of the powerful. So, and then last, a couple of inconsistencies in the article. She points out, look, Kamala Harris race is not that big a deal. We're not gonna lose all black voters and all female voters, etc. I agree with that. I think the policies are way more important, and she mentions that, Kathleen Parker does, the policies are more important. But she's a little Johnny come lately to that, because I remember, not her specifically, but in all of Washington Post, all of the Washington pundits saying, it's gotta be Kamala Harris. She's black, she's a woman, she's Asian, it's gotta be her. You gotta do it based on just identity. Identity, come on, are you against black people? Are you racist? Are you sexist? Are you anti-Asian? We're like, well, I don't, how about if we get balance on the ticket with a progressive that seems to be really, really popular? It's no, you're racist, sexist. Now they're like, her race and sex doesn't matter at all. Oh, really? All of a sudden, it doesn't matter at all. But they can't let go of identity politics. So if you notice in one of the quotes that Jordan read to you, this would get rid of the old white men problem. Wait, I thought identity didn't matter, but now all of a sudden it matters again. But wait a minute, if you want to get rid of the old white men problem, Kamala Harris isn't white or old or a man. Hillary Clinton's old. So Kamala Harris would check off all your boxes better. But you really, really want Hillary back on the ticket. And now finally on the policy end, Joe Biden and Hillary Clinton would make the most toxic establishment ticket in American history. Two people who have combined like 98 years in Washington, who have taken nearly $2 billion from large donors throughout their history, have delivered for banks at one after another. Hillary Clinton famous for giving speeches and pocketing money from the banks, changing our position on the bankruptcy bill. Biden used to be known as a senator from MBNA, that's a credit card company. Like, it would be the worst establishment ticket. The reason Trump's winning is because he's pretending to be a populist. The people in Washington, now if we get to the human psychology, they live in an alternate reality that is just as crazy and diluted as MAGA. MAGA thinks Trump won the election. I know that if you're not in MAGA, you just cannot believe that, right? But they genuinely do. They think he won. They think we've been under a false president for these last 3 years. That's why one of the reasons why they hate Biden so much. They think he's like a communist dictator that stole our country when he didn't even win the election, right? And it's not even him who's in charge. It's like a combination of Barack Obama and the trans first lady of France and stuff. So I know it sounds nuts, but some of them believe that. But now you have to see, is it so outrageous and unthinkable when everyone in Washington has these thoughts about, man, if the Democrats were just more pro-establishment and more big pro-donors, they'd capture the imagination of the country. You would, like, I'm sorry, but you belong in a mental institution if you believe that. That is totally, utterly deluded. If you think the person who lost to Donald Trump would be the best possible person in the whole country to put on a ticket to run against Donald Trump, you've lost your mind. You're not attached to reality at all. The polling shows it. The American people, you're lost. You're in MAGA la la land, right? But when we say these things, if you're watching out there and you're a regular American, you're gonna say, well, everything they just said is super obvious, right? And it doesn't really matter what part of the political spectrum you're on. But when in Washington, when they watch the same exact video, if you made Kathleen Parker, remember the whole paper, the editor approved this article, the publisher approved, everybody's like, thought, oh, genius idea. Well, look at this, Kathleen's got a great idea. Let's take the two biggest losers and put them together. And take the thing that America hates and concentrate our entire campaign on that. Brilliant. So when they see this video, they think we're crazy. They think, I just was talking to Don Lemon, I saw him in New York, and he's still talking to his old friends in cable news and stuff. They still think I'm nuts. They're like, a bunch of radicals. Think the American people don't love the establishment, don't love politicians and mainstream media. You guys are so crazy and radical. So these are the crazy bubbles we live in. Human psychology is amazing. People will believe anything they want to believe. What do you think, Joe?
It is totally incoherent, and I think it reflects an unwillingness to be serious about why Hillary lost in 2016. And it's sad that we're still having this conversation almost a decade later. I mean, they've had plenty of time to really sit with the results of that election, why Hillary lost. And of course, not campaigning in key states in the run-up to the election, a big part of it, but then within those states, thinking you have Michigan and Pennsylvania as a lock. They just they denounced that entire region, the entire Rust Belt. These are just racist white people who voted for Trump, purely motivated on race. And surely there were people who were motivated by race, and unfortunately it got worse. But there are certainly people in there, and I've talked to them. All you have to do is talk to them and you'll understand. And they had a distrust in the Democratic Party and the establishment. And despite his many flaws that they recognized, they didn't trust where the Democratic establishment was going. They didn't trust her specifically, and especially on issues of trade, especially issues related to workers. And you saw that play out. Instead, Beltway media just said, these are all white working class racists who voted for Trump because they liked his racist rhetoric. Again, there were some people like that, but not all. And when you can't recognize why she was so unpopular in regions like that that are pivotal to winning an election, you end up with results like this. I mean, there was a distinguishing point. Biden had a better record on labor. You saw some of those areas flip back to Biden, especially in Michigan. That was key. He certainly didn't win Ohio, but when you're losing strongholds, labor strongholds in the Rust Belt, cycle after cycle after cycle, you gotta ask yourself, hey, maybe we're going in the wrong direction. Maybe these people we've built our party around aren't the right leaders for this movement. Thankfully, Trump didn't win in 2020, but putting Hillary on the ticket in 2024 is guaranteed to get him back in the White House. But with news outlets struggling all over the country, maybe that's ultimately what they want.
Yeah, but last thought on it is that apparently they don't really care about beating Trump that much. They would, I mean, if you said to them, a progressive, I mean, look at how she's celebrating the idea that Jamal Bowman might lose and that Hillary's helping him to lose. If you said, for example, next president of the United States is going to be solid Democrat like Jamal Bowman or Donald Trump, and it's a secret ballot in Washington among Democratic leadership or Democratic politicians, I think that vote is 70-28, if I'm being generous, Trump. I think they would much rather have Trump than a progressive. They would much rather have Trump than a populist. They would much rather have Trump than an outsider. They don't mind losing to Trump. I mean, you would only consider nominating Biden, who can barely walk and talk, and Hillary, who has already lost to Trump, unless you didn't mind losing to Trump. What you minded was anyone challenging the system. And with one last piece of irony here is that all these people who just don't mind losing to Trump at all makes me think that they know something we don't know, which is Trump actually is part. I mean, we do know this and we tell you guys about it. He's a fake populist, but I'm adding an extra layer here. I think that they're seeing the corporate tax cuts that Trump is promising. They're seeing him kiss the ass of the donors all throughout the country, going to the oil companies, the bankers, and kissing up to them. And I think it's making a lot of Democrats go, not so bad, right? Not the voters. The voters hate it, right? Including Democratic voters. But people inside Washington are like, oh, Trump's getting a little bit better. You know, he's maybe he'll do anything for the donors just like our guys. So, okay, and by the way, they'll watch this video and go, they think politicians serve donors. They're so radical. These bubbles are the most amazing human phenomenon. Thanks for watching The Young Turks, really appreciate it. Another way to show support is through YouTube memberships. You'll get to interact with us more. There's live chat emojis, badges. You've got emojis of me, Anna, John, JR, so those are super fun. But you also get playback of our exclusive member-only shows and specials right after they air. So all of that, all you gotta do is click that join button right underneath the video. Thank you.